This video shows how to do a double pickup band, and for more information go to my blog at arendaholiday.com and search for in the index for picking up stitches, double pickups, and you'll get much more information, explanation of why, and things like that. Now to do this I need 2 circular needles. I need one the size that I need to pick up my band. The other one I need 3 or 4 sizes smaller, and we'll see why that is in a minute. And to start, I insert the larger needle on the right side of the work and I pull through a loop. And then I go in as if I'm going to pick up the next stitch, but what I do is I position the needle so that the yarn is coming over the smaller needle, and I wrap it underneath both needles and I use the larger needle to pull it through. And I have 2 stitches on the right side of the work and I have 1 stitch on the wrong side of the work, and that's the way it's supposed to be. We'll talk more about that in a minute. And my yarn is positioned between the 2 needles, so I wrap it underneath both. Whoops, I need to insert my needle first. Duh. Insert my needle, and that happens. Once you get this thing anchored, it's not so much of a problem. Just go through and insert that needle back in there with the working yarn between them. And I'm trying to show you everything that can go wrong. Okay, wrap it underneath, and then I pull the stitch through. Now once you've got 1 or 2 stitches on that back needle, it stays pretty much in place. You don't need to worry so much about it. I go underneath them, pull it through, insert my needle. Hey George. Pull it through, insert my needle, 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 pull it through, whoops, yeah, insert my needle, pull it through, and I just do that to pick up 1 stitch. Well, use the same rules you would for a normal pickup, and if you don't know what those are, refer to my blog because I've got a ton of videos on picking up stitches. Now what I want to do when I'm done is I want to count the stitches on the front needle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I should have 1 less on the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's just there. Now the next step is I need to work 3 or 4 rows on both of these needles, and I'm going to work it kind of in the round around this raw edge. And in order to work, so that means I'm going to work the stitches on the back needle first, and in order to work them, I want to make sure I'm using my small needle. I need to slide the larger needle to the back so that I can actually do it. If it's on the needle and not on the cord, it's virtually impossible to do. And I'll get my working... George, what the hell? It's running some kind of circuit. I'm going to knit this row with my small needles. The stitches on the back are always worked with small needles. Just checking to make sure, and you don't want to mix them up or you're going to have a very sloppy looking thing. Okay, I've got those stitches. Alright, now I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to work these stitches, and I need to do the same thing. I need to put those back stitches on the cable, and then I can work the stitches on the front. So I'm going to be sliding needles around a bit until I'm done. Now how many rows do I work? I work it enough rows that I can cover that raw edge, and usually that is 3 or 4 rows, and I want to end ready to work the stitches on the right side. And what I'm going to do, because that's very repetitive, is I'm going to pause my video until I have worked those stitches. Okay, so I'm going to pause right now, and I'm just going to work 3 or 4 more rows, doing the same thing, turning my work, shifting to cables, and so on. Okay, I'm back, and I've got 3 rows on the front of my work, and I've got 4 rows on the back of my work. And the reason why you use smaller needles is that if you don't, the the band is going to be really loose and sloppy how it's fitted in there, and you want to have it as tight as possible. Now at this point, if you've ever done a 3-needle bind off, it's similar to that. And by the way, if I wanted to, I hate I-cords, applied I-cords. I think they look, I can't execute one so that it looks decent. And this is how I do the same thing. I do a double pickup and then I do a 3-needle bind off at this point, and it gives you basically a tight little tube around your work. But instead, I'm going to be knitting a band. So I'm going to, remember I've got 9 stitches on the back, 10 on the front. So I'm going to knit the first stitch. Okay? You knit it all by itself. And now I want to transition to a knit 1, purl 1 ribbing. And I could, at this point, do knit 2, purl 2. I could do all stockinette. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to go in, I'm going to purl those 2 together. Purl them off. Okay? Slide them off. And now I'm going to knit the next 2 stitches. Knit. And I'm going to purl, and if you're purling on that back needle, you've got to go through the back and then through the front. A lot of people haven't done that before. Knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. Now if you don't have the right number of stitches, what's going to happen to this band is it's going to slant and not look right. So that's why it's very important that you count and make sure that you have exactly the same number of stitches. Now at this point I can put away my smaller needle, I don't need it, and I can just work my band as planned. Now let me just work another row and then we can look at it. And there are a lot of uses for this that I go into in my blog, and I also talk about some ways that you can use this, how you can actually apply it to your projects, but I just wanted to show you the technique in here. And you can see that instead of having that ugly old raw band on the inside of your work, on the wrong side, I have a nice neat band that really, this looks a lot like a commercial sweater, if you want it, truth be told. And on the right side, I have the same thing. Now I could have started working this knit 1, purl 1 right away. So, but I kind of like the appearance of encasing it and stocking it and then having the band start.